Mhm. Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collarwood for YouTube, back with another Dark Shadows video for you guys and gals. I'm here to give my review of episode 104, written by Francis Swan, directed by John Sedgwick. This episode starts off with Vicky coming across the landing, down the steps, and into the drawing room. Now, and for those, because I know it's been a while since I've done an episode following 103, right? So, in the last episode, by the end of it, Victoria Winters was in her room and somebody was trying to get into her room, pick the lock and force it open. Roger, who heard her screaming, came in. And what's the deal? And that was the end of that. So here in this episode, Vicky is going to talk about that somebody last night tried to get into her room, um, which this is really the first episode that suggests that a prowler got inside the house. Um, if you if you thought the first episode was, when Barnabas came in and took Willie's clothes, no, this this is the episode where it's like, okay, did somebody break in somehow, either A, sneak into the house, B, break into the house? And let me give spoiler alert, C, it's none of the above. um you can't break into a house when you have the keys or when you have access to keys too. um and your culprit, even if when you're watching Dark Shadows and you're going through this for the first time and you have a suspect in mind, okay? If your suspect is Roger, Roger has access to keys. If your suspect is Mrs. Stoddard, Mrs. Stoddard has access to keys. Now, neither of them do this, by the way. I want to stress that. I'm just making a point here. The person who is sort of antagonizing Vicky here, your antagonist is Matthew Morgan. Um, just is. Now, are the writers ready to reveal this yet? No, they're not. They're not revealing it in this episode. They've hinted it throughout certain episodes that Matthew has now become very suspicious of Vicky. He's become kind of curious about her, especially after hearing from David that, you know, Vicky Vicky talked to Bill Malloy's ghost, and Bill Malloy told her who murdered him. Um, so there's that. Now, is Matthew Morgan alone in that suspicion? No, not completely. Um, but Roger, the difference I would say between Roger and Matthew's sort of actions here, before I get into the rest of this episode, is Roger only became really whatever when he didn't want Vicky to find out that he had the pen last. But here's the thing. Roger is already telling Carolyn knows. Like, this is, I've talked about this a bit before, so I'll re-mention here. It's hard to take Roger as a suspect seriously when too many people already know or know the information. You might say, what's too many people? One person. And especially when that one person's Carolyn, because if you know anything by that episode that it happens, guess what? Carolyn does not keep a secret very well. Everybody's gonna know about it. It's like tell Carolyn, tell Collinsport. That's pretty much it. You might as well tell everybody else. So she's not the best secret keeper. Just ask Victoria Winters. She has, because Carolyn herself has has told on Vicky numerous of times. So you really think Carolyn having knowing that Roger had the pen last and the information isn't going to get out anyway? The information's going to get out. I mean, he doesn't want Burke to hear it, but I mean, come on, Carolyn. Carolyn sees Burke more than Vicky does. Oh my god. Which is true, okay? So in this sorry, I had to go off on that little side tangent there to explain something. But in this episode, Vicky is very paranoid and she has every reason to be. Somebody did try to get into her room. Now again, you're not supposed to know who, but again, I'm going to give this a spoiler. It was Matthew. Um, Matthew eventually is going to be revealed as the person who killed Bill Malloy. They're getting to that point. They're going along about way to doing it, but they're going to do that. I do like a lot of what this episode does, because even though I know what's going to happen, if you've never watched Dark Shadows before, they're going to do a really good job in this episode. Francis Swan and John Sedgwick are really going to do a great job in this episode of making a lot of the original suspects look like suspects again. And by the way, yes, Matthew Morgan, Thayer David's character, is in this episode. Vicky wants an extra lock put on the door, and it's Matthew who suggests the deadbolt, not Victoria Winters. And Vicky just agrees to have it put on, which I think that's. I don't know if this is just a continuity mistake or it's just they're so hysterical over Vicky's hysterical. They just say that, oh, Vicky wanted a deadbolt put on her door. No, Vicky did not say, hey, put a deadbolt in my door. Matthew suggested the deadbolt first. So I don't know why. I mean, yeah, she wanted it, but she didn't suggest the deadbolt. So Matthew did. Also, you have she has this conversation with Liz that somebody broke into her room. So Liz says, do you want an extra lock put on your door? Matthew says, what's all this about a prowler? And Matthew Vicky asked Matthew, did you search the house? He goes, yeah, I always make sure the doors and windows are locked before I leave the house. Maybe somebody got into the house and hid in one of the rooms, again, there are 40 rooms in this goddamn house, so it's possible. They also believe somebody disappeared into the abandoned wing of the house. They searched, and that door was locked. By the way, that door locked, it wouldn't mean anything if somebody did, because as we know, there is a secret passage into that wing in the drawing room. Roger knows about that. So does David. Also, Matthew is going to put a deadbolt on Vicky's door. And there are a lot of phone calls made in this episode. Vicky makes a phone call to the Collins Court Inn to see if Burke has come back from Bangor. He has not yet. He will be back though by the end of this episode. There's Elizabeth is going to call Roger. Hey, come home. I want to talk to you. So Vicky is going to leave Collinwood to go into town after she calls Sam. She calls Sam Evans. And Sam Evans, Vicky wants to talk to Maggie. Maggie's not there. Sam tells Vicky he has more information on the B. Hanscom portrait to meet him at the Blue Whale. So Vicky agrees to meet Sam. Vicky takes a cab into town. So she doesn't drive herself. She doesn't walk. She takes a cab into town to go to the Blue Whale. So our sets here are the top of the staircase itself, the stairs, the foyer, the drawing room. We also get the blue whale. We do not get the Collinsport in. We actually get a outside set design, which looks really great. I love how they did this, and I'm going to remind myself to get back into that because it was really good. That to me was Cy Thomas off to a perfection how they did this. I know it's simple, but sorry. You have you also have, Sam Evans making his own phone calls to again checking the Collinsport in. Everybody's checking the call, asking about Burke Devlin. You have two people already checking up on Burke, and one was Vicky and one was Sam. Like I said, a lot of phone calls are made in this episode. Vicky makes a call to Bert, the Collinsport Inn. Liz makes a call to the cannery for Roger. Sam makes a call to the Collinsport Inn for Burke. You have 3 phone calls made in this episode, and it's like, Jesus. But he make any more calls. And by the way, in this episode, Liz does ask Vicky, do you want to call the sheriff? That's at the end of this episode. I'll get into that. Gosh. So Roger's gonna come home, and he's gonna talk to Liz, and he tells Elizabeth, he goes, look, I think this girl's in danger. She thinks she may have information of who killed Bill Malloy. Liz reminds Roger it was an accident. Well, she may not think that, and her saying she has this information could seems to be putting her in some sort of danger. Roger reminds Liz, hey, I was right all along. I think the best thing for her to do is just leave Collinsport. Again, you got to keep in mind there's a lot of motive behind Roger here wanting this, and it's more primarily with David than it is an actual murder charge. Roger isn't looking to avoid jail time here, at least not yet. He's more looking just to be, not a responsible dad. So that being said, Matthew comes in and says he put the deadbolt on the door, and Liz asks, "Okay, were there any signs of forced entry or that somebody got out the lock?" And Matthew says no. Matthew's lying. I mean, that's as much fun as I have with these episodes, and they're a lot of fun to watch. You gotta know when a character's lying their ass off, and somebody is generally lying in these episodes, whether it's Roger or whether it's Elizabeth herself. Yep, Vicky lies too, but Matthew is the liar here, and it's sort of easy to decipher why he's going to be the fall guy. I mean, they've already hinted that he's going to be the guy. I mean, even when you go back to the discovery of Bill Malloy's body, Matthew is a suspect. The biggest? If I had one pet peeve, if I had one issue with the whole Matthew Morgan suspect thing, out of everybody who's questioned, Roger, Sam, Matthew, Burke is talked to, Matthew is the least questioned. Now, I'm not saying the sheriff doesn't do a good job questioning him. He does, but he's the least questioned. You see him, he's the least questioned out of all of them. And he shows, by the way, he shows the least interest too early on. He's not at the sheriff's office trying to get information. He's, like Sam is or Burke is, he's not trying to do that, or Roger is. He's not trying to do that. Again, the writers are going to paint suspects and try to throw you off the trail. But if you pay attention, you can sort of tell Matthew's going to be your killer. What else? Trying to think. So Vicky meets Sam at the Blue Whale, and Sam's having a laugh. Again, this is a public bar, so there is at least one other person besides the bartender and Sam in the Blue Whale. So they see Vicky, by the way, come in, have a drink with Sam. She orders a ginger ale. He orders a drink, an alcoholic drink, of course. And Sam admits to Vicky, "Please don't leave. I lied to you." So Sam's open with her. He says, "I was questioned about this whole thing myself. It should just be let go. It was an accident." Everybody keeps bringing up the accident because in the coroner's report, it was ruled an accidental death. So you have that conversation. Sam even offers Vicky a ride back to Collinwood. She says, "No, I'll walk." She's going to wish she took that ride. Vicky leaves. She doesn't really touch her drink either. I mean, she does not. This is the most moment where Vicky's guard is up. When you watch this episode, Victoria Winter's guard is up in every way. And great job by Alexandra selling that too. So Vicky leaves the Blue Whale. She wasn't there long. Sam goes over to the bar, has one last nightcap, and then leaves himself. Remember, he drove in. She took the cab. She's going to walk back, and you do see a sign that says Collinsport 2 miles. And the docks are like 4 the other way. So Vicky this is why I talked about one of my favorite set designs is this outside set design done by Cy Thomasoff. Vicky is standing on the side of the road. Here comes this car with their headlights are on. It almost runs Vicky down, but she obviously gets out of the way. She runs back to Collinwood, beats on the door. And Elizabeth, who's in a drawing room, and opens it. It's Vicky, and she says, "Someone tried to kill me. Someone tried to kill me." Elizabeth says, "I'll get something to calm your nerves." And Vicky picks up the phone and calls Burke again. So you have another phone call made in this episode by Vicky to Burke. Yes, Burke is finally back. You don't see Burke in this episode, but Burke Devlin says he's coming right up to Collinwood. Vicky takes a pill that will help her sleep. And Elizabeth does even say Vicky's hesitant to take the pill. Liz says to Vicky, "You don't trust me?" Because Liz, I think, is realizing, okay, this girl's nerves are shot. Something. Elizabeth does believe Vicky when someone tried to get into her room, but again, you have this woman whose guard is up because she knows she's in danger. And it's really this is my favorite Francis Swan written episode because you have so much tension going on, and a lot of that tension is real. There's definitely a killer on the loose. Just because you might say, does it ruin it that I know who it is? No, not to me, because the way they wrote out this episode and they built this. They did it. Look, the writers of Dark Shadows did a hell of a job building this tension and building the who did it, who killed Bill Malloy, or was it just a drowning? And you're gonna find some stuff out here real soon. Shit's gonna hit the fan here real soon, in a big way. And plus, hey, you're gonna have some ghost murder people. What? Right? Actually, murder Matthew Morgan. That's right. You heard me. Ghost commit murder in Dark Shadows, and it's the best thing. Free Barnabas. No offense to the Phoenix. Sorry. Oh my gosh. What an episode. Just what a well written and acted episode. I mean, everybody's on point. Everybody knows who their character is by now. You're 104 episodes in, and everybody's just rolling with the punches. And you gotta love them for it. You really do. Joan, Alexandra, Lewis Edmonds, there, David, David Ford, Nancy Barrett. Even though Nancy's not in this episode, Joel Carruthers, Mitchell Ryan. What a cast! What a cast, and what a performance! And again, you just have very, very talented writers too, who are writing great material for these people, and they're knocking it out the park. They are killing it in a great way. It's fucking awesome. I'm sorry for the profanity, but I love it. Some shout. I'm gonna put some shout outs in this. There's gonna be links in the description box. Links to Between the Shadows, the Dark Shadows podcast is gonna be in the description box. Shout out to Christine and Kara. Shout out to Alan Gallant, Collinsport After Dark. Shout out to Penny Dreadful, Tarek Collinwood. Let me see. I know I'm missing a bunch of people. Shout out to Shadow Bros. I can't remember all their names, so I apologize, but I'll leave a link in the description box to their channel. And shout out to my buddy Patrick McCray. A link to the Dark Shadows Day book Unbound is going to be in the description box to go pick it up if you haven't already. But yeah, I'll also leave a link in the description box to this episode. You definitely should go check out this episode. You guys have a great, great day and take care.